Whether you're dreaming of a retirement with sand between your toes and a cold one in your hand, hitting the road to chase the winds of adventure, or spending time with your grandchildren, this show is intended to help you get there. Welcome to Coasting in Retirement with your host, Josh Knoll. You've worked too hard throughout your career to spend your retirement worrying. So sit back, kick up your feet, because we've got lots of financial tips and tricks to share to help you get exactly where you want to be. Here's Josh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to Coasting in Retirement. What a show we have for you today.
Woohoo!
We have wedding announcements. We have award show announcements. We've got Michelle back.
Yeah.
We get to discuss some fun things to do down here on the Gulf Coast. It's springtime.
Almost summer.
Man, yeah, get hot today. So we're going to have some fun today. I'm your host, Josh Knoll, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Mrs. Michelle Lee Melton, or should I say Mrs. Michelle Lee Melton Knoll?
Not yet, maybe.
Or did I just become Josh Melton?
That could be.
I don't think
It's
so.
all Melton Knowles.
Michelle, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
You had an extended vacation from Coasting in Retirement.
Extended vacation from here, but not from the rest of my life.
Not from real world. Yeah. Well, I'm sure the listeners have missed you, and we're all glad to have you back.
Oh, I miss being in the studio.
There we go. Listeners, Michelle and I are here today to discuss financial topics relevant to those of you in or near retirement, living your best life along our part of the Gulf Coast. Here's what we've got in store for you today. First segment, deep dive on our topic of the day.
Not too heavy today.
Yeah, very light topic. Second segment, about 20 minutes past the hour. Fan favorite, Michelle with the news of the week.
Everybody will learn something.
That's right. Third segment, roughly 40 minutes past the hour. Josh's crystal ball and
His big mouth.
That's right, big mouth. So buckle up. We got a lot to get to. Quick background on me for those of you new to the show. Again, my name is Josh Knoll. I'm a fee-based financial advisor. I hold my FINRA Series 65 securities license, and I'm the owner of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. That's an independent investment management and financial planning firm. We have offices in Fairhope, Orange Beach, and coming very soon, Mobile. You can find That's right. Yeah, you can find more information on me and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors by visiting our website, gulfcoastfa.com, or feel free to give us a call at 251-327-2124. And if you dismiss that, don't worry. We'll repeat it several times throughout the show. So, listeners, if you were paying attention during our opening here a few minutes ago, then you heard me say we had a wedding announcement. So, Michelle, would you like to do the honors?
Sure.
What you got?
So Josh and I legally got hitched on April 13th.
We did.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing.
And some of our listeners were actually there.
This is true.
So thank you guys for showing up. Hope you had a great time at the party.
We had a
Looks
great
like
show out.
Everybody did. We've only gotten... Oh, and you can check out Social Magazine.
Social
too.
Magazine coming
It'll
out in
be there.
June. They're
Don't get the one that was dropped yesterday because only Josh is in it as an influencer.
Yeah, of all
Very
things.
Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I had to look up Gen Alpha today because that's what generation...
Our influencers?
It's 2012. So that's only 12-year-old influencers, but that's the newest generation.
I might be the oldest influencer.
You might be.
Me and Martha Stewart.
Well, that lady, the Iris lady that did the Ruggables, she just passed at 102, and she was an influencer. She had the big glasses. She was pretty cool. But so you might be.
Well, that's right. So Michelle and I are married.
We are, Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, no more moonlighting suspense to the show. We're just letting the cat out of the bag. We also hinted in our show opening, Coasting Retirement is up for an award.
Yes.
Yeah, it's from the local weekly publication called Lanyap, and the award itself is called a Nappy.
Mm-hmm.
So our show is up for Best Lifestyle Radio Show. You can find it under the media section if you decide to go vote. And honestly, even if we don't win, we're very proud that we were one of the 6 finalists. I believe we were the only financial topic-based show to make the cut.
Nice.
That means we're hopefully interesting.
Entertaining and interesting
Right.
for maybe not such sexy topics.
You're right. And I also believe as far as I can tell, we're the newest show to make the list. So many, many thanks to those of you out there that have voted for us and continue to vote for us.
Yes,
if you,
thank you.
listeners, if you're interested in voting, visit votenappies.com. And again, find us under the media section, Best Lifestyle Radio Show.
It's the second one in that section.
It is, right. Voting ends on May 26th.
And you can vote every day.
So please do your democratic duty and vote early and vote often. So, all right, back to our show.
Okay.
Michelle and I decided today that we were going to take a little lighter topic with this episode. We are both very active in the community, particularly
Yes.
Michelle, and I feel we do a good job of having a whole lot of fun fun without spending a ton of money. So
you live your financial life. You preach it and you live it.
That's
there
fair.
you go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So we decided to put together a list of 7 things.
I like 7.
Odd number, 7 for Michelle.
Yes.
7 things to do along our part of the Gulf Coast that doesn't require a lot of money. Usually. So
if done correctly.
that's right. Now, as with any list that's got some qualifications around it, there's got to be some rules. So here are the rules. First, we want to try to avoid the obvious things to do.
Tourist traps.
The touristy things, and try to give both people visiting here and maybe even folks that live here a couple of new ideas to discover on their own. Now, with that said, we obviously have to talk about some of this area's main attractions. You know, we're going to be talking about our beautiful beaches. Leaving those out it'd be like a
tragic.
It'd be like a country song that doesn't mention mama or prison or trains. Or getting drunk.
That's right.
But our goal will be give you all a few sneak spots.
Yeah.
Particularly spots that the locals know that may not be on the wider tourist radar. The second rule is that it has to be affordable by most people's definition. And so, listeners, you might be asking, how does affordability tie into this show's target audience of those in or near retirement? Now, of course, we got listeners of all ages, but that's kind of what the show is geared towards. I would say easy. In my opinion, there's 2 broad ways to experience life down here, and neither of them are wrong. As I tell my kids often, people spend thousands of dollars to experience the Gulf Coast, while we do a lot of those same activities for little or nothing because we live here, right?
That's right. Third coast.
Yeah, so with the first way, experience the Gulf Coast, you're spending market rates on common activities. And while Michelle and I prefer to find the deals and find the hidden treasures, in my opinion, the second way is looking for things where you can get a lot of bang for your buck. So that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? Plus, obviously, at the end of the day, it's our show, and if we want to take a quick breather from some of the heavy conversation,
it's baby steps for me back in.
That's right. We got to ease you back in. So we're going to do it.
It's been a busy few months.
So, Michelle, with that said, how about you lead us off with our first item on our list of 7 things to do along our part of the Gulf Coast that doesn't cost a lot of money usually.
Okay.
All right.
So the first one, start off with something easy that people that live here often fail to take advantage of, and that's visiting Mobile Bay.
One of your favorite things to do.
Yes. I mean, I can stare at it all day. And, Mobile's on the other side. You have all these municipalities that touch it. There's public piers in all those places for the most part. So, and you can fish and you can go to the beaches here. And the city of Fairhope, for example, and the Single Tax Corporation socked away a lot of land for the people of Fairhope, and it'll have to be there forever and ever. So the whole bluff is like that in Fairhope.
Well, yeah, because if you're new or newer to the area, or maybe you don't venture down to the bay very often, once you hit about Montrose, that's where the private land ownership ends roughly.
Yes.
And then you got public access, beach access, or bay access the entire way to really kind of the Grand Point Clear area?
Yeah. Maybe a little bit before then.
A little bit before then, but not far.
Yeah, because the beaches kind of peter out because you get closer to the bigger waters and stuff, so erosion and whatnot. But yeah.
Well, and you paddleboard and kayak.
Yes.
And a lot of the creeks that feed Mobile Bay.
Right. Fly Creek, Rock Creek. There's all kinds of creeks, and there's a lot of creeks on the other side too, in Mobile County.
And the good thing is,
and you got the Delta.
The bay is free. Yeah,
the bay is free. Our piers are free. And maybe one day in Fairhope we will have a restaurant on the pier again.
It's getting close.
It is getting close. And so that might be a little bit more money to spend some money there, but I think they're going to be reasonable prices or whatever. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. Well, I credit you for introducing me to the little nooks and crannies of Mobile Bay. All right?
A lot of people in critter watching.
That's right. All right. So I'm taking number 2. Number 2 on our list of affordable things to do is,
of course,
get on a boat.
Woohoo! Let's do it.
So I will say this.
I'll be your skipper.
That's right. You're my first mate.
That's right. Yeah, I am now.
Now, so folks, if the open water of Mobile Bay or maybe even the Gulf intimidate you, I will tell you there's a whole world of inshore water to explore. There's Fish River, Weeks Bay, Magnolia River, Bonsecour River, which is actually very shallow. Or you can even take the intercoastal, or you could trailer your boat, like I do, to a boat ramp that gets you to Wolf Bay, Arnica Bay, Perdido Bay.
Weeks Bay.
Right. Once you're on your boat down here, honestly, a whole new world opens up. Michelle and I, we like putting our boat in at Roberts Bayou, and locals will know that's the bayou, the really calm bayou where they park a lot of sailboats behind Pirates Cove.
It's got a hurricane hole over there.
Right. It's a great place. We put in there, then it gives us a minute to kind of have some peace before we hit the chaos that is
Pirates Cove.
Right. And then another of our favorites is directly across Arnica Bay is Oso at Bear Point, which we're both big fans of.
Yeah, and both places allow dogs, people.
Yeah, you can pull up by your boat on both places, and they allow dogs. On that note, Michelle, there's a couple places that used to be boat friendly and dog friendly, but that's changed, like Floribama Yacht Club, which I am a fan of. I don't want to put them down, but they quit allowing dogs.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I don't know what changed, but about 2 or 3 years ago, getting a boat slip has just become impossible. Maybe just a reflection of the growth down there. Then, of course, we're talking about our side of the bay over here on the eastern shore, but across the bay, there's the River Shack on Dog River, which is
pretty fun.
Is a great place.
Yes.
And you can even go up in the Delta to Gravine Island. It's on the Tinsall River.
Never been.
Well, you get to hang with some of my people. I've got friends in low places. And what the cool thing about Gravine Island is you can head back south and just take a right, just a short ride. I guess that'd be west, and you can tie it for dinner and usually music at Bluegill, another one of our favorites.
Yes, they have in the summertime. They have live music every day,
and it's
free.
And it's also a very easy place to tie your boat up. So yes, number 2 is get on a boat. You want to take number 3?
Okay, number 3, hang out at some cool places where the locals go. For example, the Legion here in Fairhope is on the beach, and it has free music shows. They start in the spring and they go to October. Then they take a break, and it's every Sunday, and the Tiki Bar is open. And
I don't want to interrupt your train of thought, but we are sponsoring, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors
June
is sponsoring,
1st, right?
What's it called? The Salt Shaker?
Yeah, Salt Shaker. Yeah, Lost Salt Shaker tribute to Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett tribute band on June 1st. That's a concert and a benefit. If you can find tickets out there, join us. We'll be there. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. And so there's also Tolstoy Park here in Fairhope, which is off Parker Road. It's actually in Montrose Office Park, but it's a little hobbit house that this guy that used to live here was a hobbit. And he wasn't a hobbit. He was a hermit, and he lived in a hobbit type house, and it's still there. And you can go in and see how he lived and sign a book, and that's completely free. And I can walk to it from my house. Also in Daphne, there's Gator Alley on Tualav Creek.
Right.
And all of the Eastern Shore municipalities have plenty of free trails and parks to go to.
Well, speaking
Eastern Shore Trail goes from Spanish Fort to Point Clear.
Right.
It's multi-use trail.
That's right. We like to go to Bohemian Park. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just off of County Road 48.
Swing.
There's a rope swing. There's also a ladder that will scare you to death if your kids jump off. It's on Fish River. And for those of you who don't know Fish River, a little bit south of here where it gets a little murky, Fish River up there is actually pretty clear and pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of where it starts. And
right.
It gets murky. But.
All right, very good.
Yeah, and also Fish River and Magnolia Springs, those are free, and they've got boat ramps and stuff. And that's the only places in the United States where mail's delivered by water.
This is true.
You see mailboxes on the docks.
On the river.
Yeah, so interesting.
Very cool. And those are what Michelle just listed. Those are a lot of places where the locals go. You may not have heard of them.
Yep.
All right, number 4, I'll take it.
All right.
Go camping.
Oh, we're doing that soon.
Yes, we are. So we're
taking a posse.
We are taking a load. Camping, you can go via tent, RV, fifth wheel, travel trailer. Literally, no matter how you slice it, there's tons of spots to go along the Gulf Coast. And the camping season down here, for people that aren't from here like me, is long, very long. I mean, you can camp probably 9 to 10 months out of the year and be very comfortable, right?
Yes.
A local favorite I will mention is Gulf Coast State Park, or Gulf State Park, pardon.
You're talking about you.
Yeah, right. Gulf Coast. Gulf State Park, that's in Gulf Shores. I will tell you just from experience, it tends to stay booked up.
Yeah, book in advance.
So we tend to skew towards the KOA out in Lillian on Perdido Bay.
Also where dogs are allowed.
And dogs are allowed.
Which Gulf State Park does not allow dogs, except for Lake Shelby where the alligators are.
Fair, right? And then, of course, this is not necessarily affordable per se, but for those of you looking for a more permanent spot, there's Lake Osprey that's out in Josephine.
Oh, yeah, you've been there.
Yeah, it's not really camping, glamping to its finest.
Yes.
And again, on the other end of the scale of that, there are some public beaches that let you camp. You just got to check the dates on when they allow that. Michelle and I can tell you from personal experience. That Fort Morgan didn't seem to mind
Nope.
when we randomly pitched a tent near Kiva Dunes and probably slept one of the best nights of
Yes.
sleep I've ever experienced. It was incredible. I just kept feeling like someone was going to come up and grab us, but it never did. So,
That's right.
All right, very good. All right, back to you. Number 5 on our list of 7.
Okay, so speaking of Fort Morgan, the actual fort itself is pretty cool.
Agreed.
And it's got a lot of walking around, and it's on the beach too, so it's a cool place. And they have public beaches there that are they're more tolerant of dogs than anywhere else around
In Fort
here.
Morgan, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And definitely have less rules than Gulf Shores and Orange Beach because we found
Particularly
some
Orange
new ones. Yeah, we
Beach.
found some new ones from Orange Beach. They're on the naughty list right now. But anyway, but also while you're over there, you're on Dolphin Island, right?
Well, you're on Fort Morgan. You're
Fort
saying
Morgan, yes. So, but then
if you want to get to Dolphin
you
Island,
go to the ferry. You get the ferry.
a lot of people don't realize there's a
Yes.
ferry,
and it's not
I
expensive.
think it's like $10 or something.
I don't even know if
$20.
it's that.
Yeah, it's not much.
So, anyway, Dolphin Island is an island with a birding problem because it's amazing because it's where migrating birds chill out while they're migrating. And so it's always chock full of birds. It's where there's an Audubon park there. It's really nice. And there's also the Dolphin Island Sea Lab, which I attended to when I was in high school many, many years ago.
That's cool.
Because I thought I was going to be a marine biologist. Still kind of want to be a marine biologist.
Right.
But you can go check out that too. And I think that's you can go with there relatively free and check out the animals and stuff they have in there because they have stingrays and other animals they've caught that they're taking care of and whatnot. So,
And don't they have a fishing rodeo coming up?
yes, I'm glad you mentioned it. It is coming up July 19th to 21st. Alabama Deep Sea Fishing Rodeo is always on Dolphin Island. And if you want to compete in the rodeo, you got to pay.
Right.
But you can just show up otherwise, and it's free, and there's great food, and there's free live music every night.
Right.
So,
And we saw the Pygmies. Something?
Velcro Pygmies a couple of years ago.
And that was a
It's
blast.
amazing.
They
yeah.
put on a heck of a show.
Yeah.
And that was free, right? We just
Correct.
walked up.
Yeah. If you're in the rodeo, you got to pay. But people, you go there, and sometimes you can score free seafood because they're catching all this stuff from the Gulf,
Right.
and bringing it in and weighing it and whatnot. And then lots of times they'll have coolers, and they'll just pop them open, and you can just grab a fish and take it home because they can't take it all.
Right. Love it. That's
and there's
awesome.
stuff for kids to do too there too because they got hands-on, tactile things of sea creatures.
We'll be there this year. All right. Number 6 on our list of 7 of things to do around the Gulf Coast that are affordable. Mardi Gras parades. And this is both sides of the bay, right?
Okay. Yes.
So for those of y'all that are not familiar with Mardi Gras parades down in our part of the woods, if you will, if you ever wanted to participate in a Mardi Gras and you automatically thought of New Orleans and you thought, man, that's too crazy.
It was invented here, people.
First
in
it was
Mobile.
in Mobile.
Yeah.
But I mean, New
We'll have to
Orleans,
get Jay to chime in on that.
New Orleans Mardi Gras can be pretty intimidating.
It
right?
can be. I mean,
Right.
uptown's a lot better than other places.
But so if you're looking for something, you want that experience, but you don't want the craziness of New Orleans, well, then try Mobile or try the Eastern Shore. Mobile, my opinion, I've taken my kids there for years. Mobile's parades are very safe and comfortable.
Yes, and they're a lot of fun.
Right. And of course, as anybody listening is from around here, you can catch many family-friendly parades in Fairhope, in Daphne. and
Magnolia Springs has
Magnolia
a cute one.
Springs.
There's the Mullet Mates at Mullet Point on the way to Point Clear.
There's a boat one, right?
Yes, on Fish River that you can go to Big Daddy's and look at it and watch it, which is fun.
And even Gulf Shores and Orange Beach has gotten in on the action.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
very, very cool. And for whatever it's worth, Michelle and I always walk every year in the dog parade.
Here in Fairhope,
And here in
yes.
Fairhope,
Now,
which is
I
awesome.
think we broke a record this year
For the
That's
number of dogs?
for in a parade.
I bet you're right. It was huge.
Also, sidebar, yours truly will be on. I will be riding with Iris in New Orleans parades for New Orleans Mardi Gras next year. So if they want to come out and see me on the Iris float, hell Iris.
Well, let's use that for number 7 because I think you wanted to
Ooh
mention
la
something
la.
about New Orleans. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Number 7's all yours. Finish this up.
Okay. So we do mention New Orleans. Josh and I frequent there a lot. It's 2.5 hours away from my doorstep. So it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hopefully we'll get a train to go there too. They're working on that in Mobile. So that's great. But we go over there quite a bit. And there's a lot of affordable Airbnbs in NOLA and just always great food and whatnot. And I don't know when Iris is parading, next year, but we'll let
You'll
you
be
guys.
there.
I'll be there, large and in charge, decked in purple. So come, we'll keep you posted on that because that's a bucket list item for me to be in a Mardi Gras parade.
Well, so
in New Orleans.
Yeah, so a couple things, Michelle. Again, a lot of people that aren't necessarily from down here or haven't lived here very long may not realize how convenient it is to get to New Orleans.
Yes.
'Cause unless there's a wreck.
I-10, baby. That's it.
Unless there's a wreck, once you pass Mobile, you're cruising, right?
Yeah.
Even folks listening in Mobile, especially you all that are on the Mississippi line.
Yeah, you guys are even closer.
You get real close. And Michelle, as she mentioned, affordable Airbnbs. I think we went to Jazz Fest here recently and stayed in an old brothel. Is that what it was?
Yes. I'm a repeat offender of that place. Also, I'm always obviously a dog person. Listeners, you guys know that. But I found this place a long time ago when I moved back down to the deep south. So my dog could go with me when I went to Jazz Fest with my friends and whatnot. So
love it.
And it was amazing. They have a little juke joint. It's Creole Gardens, and it's amazing. It's on Prateria. They have a juke joint, and they cook for you in the morning.
All right, so we'll sum it up real quick. We wrap up this first segment. So number 1 was visit Mobile Bay, especially all the public access.
Yes.
Number 2 was get on a boat.
Free.
Get on a boat, or if you don't buy a boat, find a friend with a boat.
Yep. Or the Freedom Yacht Club.
That's right. Number 3, Michelle listed some really cool local places like the Legion. Number 4 was go camping. Trust me on this. It's awesome. Now, it does get a little hot in July and August, but bring a fan. Number 5 was Fort Morgan and then getting over to Dauphin Island. Number 6 was Mardi Gras local parades. And number 7 was it's just a nice little day trip or a weekend trip to New Orleans. No easy peasy, like she said. So, and as you all can tell, Michelle and I have done every single thing we listed here.
Several times.
And I feel like the value we get is incredible for the money we spend. It does make a lot of sense that there's a lot to do down here. Baldwin County and this area of the Gulf Coast is one of the fastest growing areas in the southeast United States.
That's right.
Probably in the entire United States, honestly. There's a lot to do. The winters are mild. The summers may melt your face off, but there's plenty of water to jump into. And for the most part, everywhere you go, other than Coastal AL, has a great chill vibe. You guys are in the doghouse. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So, folks, I hope you enjoyed our list of 7 affordable things to do along our part of the Gulf Coast. I have no idea how to tie this into a call for action. So I guess I'll just let people know that...
Well, come visit us here and come visit Josh
Michelle
in his office.
We lead
Offices. He's got a beach office, too.
Yeah, I don't just stare at 3 computer screens all day long. We lead full, interesting lives. So let's just say this. If you want to learn more about me and my company, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, you can set up an appointment. Just call 251-327-2124. Or, of course, you can reach us through the website. That's Gulf Coast FA, Gulf like the Gulf of Mexico, Coast as in the show title, FA as in financial advisor. And on our site, you can choose to send us a direct message, or you can click on a blue button in the upper right-hand corner. That will put a 15-minute introductory phone call on my calendar. Of course, you can do all 3, all right? So coming up next, regular listeners will know that our second segment is usually dedicated to discussing recent financial headlines, but we're going to keep this local vibe going with some great articles that focus on our part of the Gulf Coast, particularly Lower Alabama, or LA as it's called. So join us after the break to hear Michelle and I discuss this week's relevant headlines in our Michelle with the News of the Week segment. Stay tuned.
A multidimensional financial services company, Providence Partners serves the needs of independent insurance, financial, and employee benefit professionals. The team at Providence Partners serves other business professionals like property and casualty agencies, registered investment advisors, community banks, and benefit brokers to assist in their clients' risk management planning. Whether an individual or business owner client, this planning includes income replacement protection, planning for extended healthcare costs, family needs, and generational transfers of wealth. At Providence Partners, we give you access to industry specialists. Those specialists focus on business succession, business owner planning, family and household protection, estate planning, planning for that income loss, or planning for long-term care solutions. Providence Partners is an Alabama-based company. We have offices in Birmingham and along the Gulf Coast. Our website is providencepartners.org, and you can reach us any of the working days.
Welcome back to Coasting in Retirement. Your host, Josh Knoll here. So typically, every week, Michelle and I scour the interwebs for helpful financial articles related to our topic of the day, especially articles that pertain to those of you in or near retirement. But this week, we decided to keep the vibe local and we found some great local resources for those of you who want to learn more about our area. Now, we'll tell you, we post the transcript of this show and the audio up on my website, gulfcoastfa.com, the Monday after this airs on Sunday on 106.5 FM Talk at 106.5. And in that transcript, we'll have the article links for those of y'all that want to check out the articles that we found. Just look for Coastal Retirement under the podcast tab. So with all that said, and without further ado, here's Michelle with the news of the week.
All right, Josh, as many people know, Southern Living Magazine has a sweet spot for Fairhope. Who doesn't? They include us in a multi-page spread, I'd say yearly.
Yes, fair.
And we also made the New York Times last year or 2 years before.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't long at all. So the secret is out, but they have an article that is 11 reasons why you'll fall in love with Fairhope.
Okay.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the Love and Fairhope show. So anyway, and it tells you different places. We're known. The Grand is in Point Clear. It's not in Fairhope proper, but it's down the road at Point Clear. It's beautiful. It was built in 1847, and it's gorgeous. So you can stay there. But there's a lot of other places on Scenic 98 that you can stay now. There's whatever Point Clear stays and stuff like that. And downtown Fairhope has places too. And there's plenty of Airbnbs around here. We have a lot of good local restaurants. Panini Pete's, the same person that does Panini Pete's.
He'd be probably our biggest local celebrity, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's good friends with what's-his-face, too.
With the guy with crazy hair.
Yeah, Guy Fieri or whatever.
That's right. Thank you.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're buddies. So he comes into town, too, by the way. He was here last year, I think, doing something with Panini Pete. Anyway, Panini Pete, Sunset Grill, that's him, so that's good stuff, too. And Panini Pete's is just not about paninis. They have breakfast, and they make good beignets. Took them to work last Friday, I believe it was.
Right.
Because I woke up without electricity. So, anyway, late. All right, plenty of coffee shops, probably more than we need, and they keep on popping up. I have insider information about stuff like that. So, and then we mentioned Sunset Point. They do a shout out for that too, and that is also a Panini Pete establishment, and it's right on Fly Creek. And it's sunset. They ring the bell, and everybody cheers, and you have a drink, and it's lovely. And they have some really interesting foodstuffs there. I've never had the snapper throats because
pretty good
at first glance that seems disgusting to me.
Sounds a little gross, but it used to be a piece of the fish that was wasted before.
Yes, but it's actually quite good.
It is.
Yes, very good. We mentioned the bluegill.
Which is not Fairhope.
It's not Fairhope. It's on the causeway, but so worth it. You can see some alligator spotting there, and like Josh said earlier, there's songs. And they have concerts there too sometimes too. They have an outdoor stage. So also in Fairhope, they mentioned riding bikes. You can rent bikes in downtown at the Fairhope store and some other places. And we do have bike lanes, and we're adding them all the time. And I mentioned the Eastern Shore Trail, which is a multi-use trail that goes 26.2 miles, like a marathon or something.
It's a long one.
Yeah. So, and there's also other nature trails. The Delta, there's the Five Rivers Delta on the causeway too, that can get you up in the Delta because there's 5 rivers. That's why it's called the Delta. Yeah, well, 5 and then 5 Rivers Delta. And they're all up there too. And Josh talked a little bit about that too. And there's also canoe trails and blue trails too over here. And there's also some in Mobile. You can shop till you drop in downtown Fairhope. Love it. And you should just find a parking space and walk because people, so that's that. But there's a lot of good stuff down there.
Well, and a lot of people, so where I'm from Southeast Missouri, and that part of the country tends to vacation down here. And often, Michelle, they go to the beaches and they don't ever visit Fairhope because they don't know what they're missing.
I didn't know Fairhope existed until I had a job interview in Mobile and I stayed over here.
Yeah, downtown Fairhope is very quaint. It's very cool. It's got a lot of shops. Now, it's got some brand name shops that Michelle mentioned, but it's also got some really cool spots. Like, what's your friend's name of that spot? The Copper Column.
Suzanne.
And it just keeps, it's like a time warp. You walk in and you just keep going.
Going. Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It's got all kinds of goodies in there.
It's really
and a whole bunch of resident cats that live in downtown Fairhope. They got their own bench last week. It was in the Fairhope Times. So. And
it's the kind of place that would never get approved from a building construction permit.
Oh,
nowadays,
no. We were looking at it the other day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how they cobbled together.
Catacombs and stuff. Yeah, it's look at the aerial. It's very interesting.
Yeah, sometimes you swear you're gonna emerge and you're gonna be in Daphne. I mean,
Yeah.
it just keeps going and going. There's also one more thing that's local, Fairhope Soap Company, which
Yeah.
you love, right?
I do love that.
Yes.
She's also an Auburn grad. Love
And then
her.
lastly, Happy Olive. I don't know if that's locally owned or not, but that's one of your favorite places
It's just
too.
I think it's just around the us in Florida. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's a
not- it's a
panhandle
Gulf
thing,
Coast
and
thing,
it is
right?
one of it is a very so you can eat, drink, shop, and be merry in downtown Fairhope till your heart's desire. There's all
Very
kinds of
good.
stuff.
All right,
Yeah.
so that was Southern Living, 11 things that will make you fall in love with Fairhope.
And we also
Check
have
it
outdoor
out.
seating a lot more. We're adding outdoor
This is
seating all the
true.
time.
All right, what's next?
Okay. So there's a news source we often reference for not for financial articles, but they just so happen to have a super helpful article about all the cool stuff that you can do in Mobile across the bay.
Right.
And that's also where this radio show is broadcast as well.
Right.
And hopefully we'll be on the stage at the Singer winning an Appy Award.
So that'd be U.S. News and Report, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the article?
27 top things to do in Mobile, Alabama.
That's a
I mean,
lot.
that's a lot. So
Well, we're not going to list all 28.
No,
good
we're
Lord.
not.
So what grabbed you with this article?
Well, I mean, downtown Mobile can be like a little slice of what New Orleans, like New Orleans. I mean, it's got like a French feel to it and stuff. But there's a lot of places down there. There's a lot of museums in downtown Mobile that are relatively inexpensive or maybe even free.
Well, okay, hold on. I know one museum you love, and we always go there every year.
We go for
That's-
Mardi Gras.
what's that
It's
called?
the Carnival Museum.
The Mobile Carnival Museum.
Yeah, and it's
that's in
got-
this article.
Yes, it is. And it's pretty cool because it has the history of Mardi Gras and it has all the ornate outfits they've worn since 1800s
I
and
mean,
stuff
it
in
goes
there.
way
It's
back.
pretty crazy.
If you've never been, folks, check it
Yes.
out. We get invited. You have a relationship with a company over there.
Yes.
Yes.
With lawyer buddies and then yes.
Right, and they invite us every year, invite you, and I tag along.
That's right.
And it's fantastic. It's such a cool museum.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I can tell you just from being a
It's event space too. People get married and stuff there and throw parties. So
right, and I can tell you from being a dad, the USS Alabama. Do you like that?
I do. I haven't been there in a while. You've been there more recently than I have, but it's pretty cool too because they got a lot of planes and they've got the armory where you can climb around all that stuff, which is
Yes.
pretty cool.
It's got submarine you can go down in. It's
Yeah.
got. I mean, if you've got a kid that is into that type of military equipment, it's got a little bit of everything.
All right, so for you gardeners out there, green thumbs, there's the Bellingrath Gardens and Home, which is gorgeous. I don't know how many acres it is. Does it tell? 65 acres is what it reads. But it's gorgeous, and it's in Mobile, and it's a museum home, and it's well worth it, and they have events out there too. Also, just architecture in general is just cool. You can see a whole bunch of old houses and Victorian mansions and stuff like that on Government Street and Old Dolphin Way in Mobile.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mobile's got a lot to offer. I know it's the city of perpetual potential.
that's right.
But it's hopefully
Broke
it's
ground
coming
on a downtown airport terminal. Finally, that's
right.
good.
Yep. But there are 27 things to do in
Yeah.
Mobile. All right, what's our next one?
Okay. So we'll pivot from the list and mention something that many locals cheered when we heard and read about this just recently from
Yeah,
our
this is
governor.
fresh off the press.
This is a recent article on Gulf Coast Media, details how the Foley Beach Express Bridge tolls are set to end at noon on May 23rd.
Yay.
Yay, finally. Allegedly, tolls are not supposed to last forever, people.
Right.
And sadly, I don't think the state of Alabama was getting the money from those tolls.
I don't think so
That was
either.
some bad financial advice. That
terrible.
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 So anyway, so then we'd be free and clear, skipping all over back and forth to the beaches. What?
Well, again, so for those of you all that are not familiar or haven't traveled down here very much, there's two bridges to get into Gulf Shores or Orange Beach. The one in Gulf Shores is Highway 59, which tends to get pretty clogged up historically, right? And then
Especially this time of year.
I don't know how many years ago they opened up the toll bridge over in in Orange
It's
Beach.
been a while.
And
Decades.
The mystery that no one will admit or no one can solve is, was there ever an end date on those tolls? I think there was, and it just got overlooked. But anyway, the point being, the ALDOT decided to kind of force the issue, and they started building a bridge, which they're continuing to build, just to the west of the toll bridge that was going to be free. And in doing so, it put the heat on the Foley Beach Express Bridge toll, and they did one kind of a jerk thing at the very end. They almost doubled their tolls. So if you hear the glee, we're not happy that some probably really good people lost their jobs that were working there, but they just handled the whole situation really poorly. And in my opinion, they created an unnecessary bottleneck to boot, when you're trying to get into Orange Beach. So we are, all of us, there's not a local around that's not happy to see that sucker go away. So very good.
Party.
All right, we got one more.
Okay, for the last article of the day, let's stay down at the beaches and let's hear more Lower Alabama love for Southern living,
Okay.
which does love us. They have a recent article titled 24 Best Things to Do in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Well, let me tell you one that you're not going to do, okay? Because Josh and I learned this last week, but we were able to smooth talk the kind of security guard. So in Orange Beach now, you can there's very little public access. What should be public access is gated off with ropes,
At the
and
new
there's security
development
guards.
called
No,
Coastal.
no, it's all the wrong way.
That's fair. Okay, keep going.
No,
Sorry,
that's
I
what they were
interrupted.
saying. That's what he was saying. So, what the little stations where you usually can access beach, where the lifeguards and stuff are, there typically are several at beaches, but in Orange Beach, they're only using the majority of them for Orange Beach residents, and they're requiring a license to read that you live in Orange Beach,
Right.
which is kind of crazy because we were just there 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and it wasn't like that. But
wasn't
they
like
just
that.
kicked in, so just right after we left. But you can still have access at Cotton Bayou and some other places that have parking and whatnot, and you can wander out there. Then you can wander on the beach wherever you want to. But those public access places are denied for people that aren't residents of Orange Beach right now.
Well, yeah, so to be clear, we're not throwing shade at the residents, right?
No.
I mean, it's not their fault.
No.
But, and also remember what Michelle is saying is the beach itself is public.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Period. But what they've done is they have limited access
That's right.
to a pretty significant part of the beach right there. And it's for Orange Beach residents only. Well, the case I made was, hey, I have an office in Orange Beach. That should count.
Yes.
And I'm saying that right now for anybody that's listening that has any pull down there. At least expand it to business owners. No, we do not live in Orange Beach. We live in Fairhope and Daphne, but we do have an office down there. I pay taxes to do all this stuff. So back to positive stuff on this article. The Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo. I don't think a lot of people
I've never
realize
been.
that we have a zoo.
Yeah, never been.
And it's, I lived in Kansas City for 16 years. Kansas City's got a pretty impressive zoo. So,
Did you go?
Of course, yeah. When you have kids, you go. But I will tell you, the Alabama Gulf Coast Zoo, while not nearly as big as like a major city zoo, it's still really cool. In fact, I think they call it the little zoo that could or something like that.
Yeah, it just kind of grew.
Yeah, and they, I think they've moved to new locations, a larger location. It's great. And, as with anything else, again, down here, you have a longer season to visit these places because there's more warm weather.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, very good. Is that it for our articles?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, nothing to do with investments.
Right. I mean, you can invest in fun.
Right.
Free financial sound fun.
Well,
financially sound fun.
Here's the thing. A lot of times when you're going into retirement, you're in or near retirement, you're trying to stretch your dollar, right? You're trying, even if you've got a considerable retirement, you still don't want to blow it because you don't know how long you're going to live. And if you've fully retired, you don't have the ability to refill the coffer like you did when you were working full time. So we bring up these things because everything we've listed here, almost without exception, are very affordable things to do down here on our part of the Gulf Coast on both sides of the bay. So, all right, Michelle, well, great job as always with the headlines. And are these important pieces of information that impact those? Yes. Now, listeners, again, this show is more about, we are up for the local Nappy Best Lifestyle Radio Show. So we thought, what the heck, we'll do a lifestyle show. But obviously, if you want to reach out to my company, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, again, the phone number is 251-327-2124. And you can always set an appointment or send us a message via our website. That's gulfcoastfa.com. All right, folks, coming up next, Josh's crystal ball and big mouth. What have been some of my predictions? Have I been right? Was I ever wrong?
Sometimes.
How wrong?
We'll find out.
We'll find out. What do I think is going to affect investors in the near future or maybe even long-term future? We get to talk about all these things and poke a little fun at my big mouth. Stay tuned. Whether it's building a business from scratch with your own two hands and wanting to maximize the financial impact of those sacrifices, or growing a great nest egg by being a dedicated and reliable worker for years, or choosing to live a life well within your means in order to accomplish a lifelong dream of retirement, the last thing you want is to go with the wrong financial advice after you've worked so hard to accumulate your assets. You've also probably spent most of your life putting others' needs ahead of your own, and now it's your turn. We can help. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is a locally owned, independent, fee-based financial planning, investment management, and tax planning practice. We have offices in Fairhope and Orange Beach. We serve all of Baldwin County and the Gulf Coast. We also have an easy-to-understand fee-for-service model with no sales quotas, no proprietary products. Our ultimate responsibility is to our clients' goals and dreams. You can reach us at 251-327-2124 or find us online at gulfcoastfa.com. That's GULF, like the Gulf of Mexico, Coast, FA as in financialadvisor.com. Welcome back. Your host, Josh Knoll, here, alongside co-host Michelle Lee Melton.
Howdy, howdy.
So I'm opinionated. I have strong opinions at times. And I would say a radio host that isn't probably wouldn't be very interesting to listen to. And of course, I'm paid in my profession to offer professional guidance and opinions to my clients. Otherwise, what use would I be? So now sometimes I feel so strongly about something that I talk about it publicly on the various podcasts and radio shows I've had in the past. Sometimes I'll even make predictions. And while I feel like I'm usually proved right because I tend to be fairly skeptical in my industry, there are definitely times that I swing and miss. So if you want to hear me eat a little crow or possibly pat myself on the back, let's get at it with Josh's crystal ball and big mouth. What we got first, Michelle?
Okay, Josh. So in a previous episode from last year, we discussed meme stocks in depth and how folks in or near retirement should avoid them like the plague. Most of the meme stocks we discussed have had a tough time since that episode as market fundamentals brought them back to more realistic values. Good. So, well, what happened just recently? Looks like Roaring Kitty has roared back into existence after 3 years of silence. So GameStop, that whole fiasco, or whatever you want to call it, Roaring Kitty was responsible for that and sent GameStop to sky-high valuations. And they went high earlier, I guess this week, or was it last week?
It's this week.
Okay, this week.
Recently.
Yeah, so Roaring Kitty, his real name is Keith Gill, and
which I thought was a country singer.
Vince Gill, maybe they're related. I mean, so Anyway, he's been teasing stuff, and the shares in GameStop skyrocketed by more than 110% and were halted for volatility several times on Monday morning. Shocker.
Right.
So even more interesting is that the surge resulted in short sellers suffering a $1 billion in loss on their bets against GameStop, which, if you've seen the movie Dumb Money, and we have, means that probably no one is feeling any pity for these Wall Street short sellers.
Right.
Anywho, what's your opinion on this recent run-up, and does it change your stance on the meme stocks?
All right. So for those of y'all that didn't catch the meme stock episode, couple things. One, you can always find our previous episodes on the website, gulfcoastfa.com. Go to the podcast tab, click on the Coast and Retirement link, and just scroll through there or do a search. Two, to define what a meme stock is. A meme stock in general was where it really became a phenomenon during COVID.
Yes. You'll learn a lot from Dumb Money.
Right. Particularly when you had the government pumping a significant amount of money into people's pockets. And we
were sitting at home doing nothing.
And, well, some people were. We weren't. But
well,
yes.
We actually were working.
Yeah, especially in the cities. They were kind of shut down. And what with social media, they would use these symbols. In the example Michelle just listed on the Roaring Kitty, all he did was post a picture of an outline of a guy leaning forward and looking over his computer as if he's interested in something. Mm-hmm. That's all it took.
Yeah.
For billions of dollars.
And the little rocket emoji started going everywhere, all over the place.
Yeah, you got rocket to the moon. Yeah. You see some of this with crypto. And generally speaking, the reason that it's even interesting is it's not like they're doing meme stocks about Walmart or Ford. They more often than not were picking companies like GameStop or AMC Theaters.
Places they wanted brick and mortar to survive. Well, to actually go into, right?
That's thinking of it in an optimistic way. I think.
Oh, wow, I'm the optimistic one.
Yeah, I think, and there was a case, if you guys do watch Dumb Money.
Yeah. There
was a case that, hey, GameStop actually the value of its physical store locations, the stock was undervalued. There was a case for that. There was not a case for it to become worth billions and billions of dollars above and beyond the market fundamentals of its own profit and loss. And so, generally speaking, when they pick a meme stock, they're picking something that, in a mathematical sense, doesn't make a lot of sense to be pouring a lot of money into, but they have some fun with it. It's fine. As Michelle said, short sellers are in general, where they will take and place a short position against the stock, betting that stock is going to go down. A lot of times they will do something called borrowing shares. We'll touch on that in another episode. But when they do this, they borrow the shares and they short the stock. If the stock goes down, they're able to recoup a profit on the difference between where they borrowed and where they end up, where the stock goes to. On the flip side of that, and what's happened this week with the short sellers, if the stock goes up, then they've got to pay a premium for that, and those losses are over $1 billion just on GameStop, which, again, not to keep referencing the movie, but if you saw the movie,
it's entertaining.
At least in the movie,
I learned a lot.
The guys, the institutional investors that were doing the short selling, did not come across as
very genuine, nice, good people.
And again, it was
Shysters.
for a movie, but yeah, they didn't make it. There was not a very flattering light. So that's interesting. Now, what does that mean for you all that are in or near retirement for investing? It doesn't change anything from what I said previously. Stay away from them. If you want to play around with it, that's fine. Just view it as your casino money, but you cannot. Just because the stock goes up, you got to remember, folks, there's always two sides to a transaction. There's the buyer and there's the seller. So if you're buying at an ever-increasing rate and you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, look at all this kind of money I'm making. Well, you're only making that money as if you can, it's called the greater fool. When it comes time to sell, can you kind of find a greater fool than yourself to sell to? Otherwise, just like with musical chairs, the music's going to stop and you're not going to have anywhere to sit. So no, do not ever put much of your money into meme stock unless it's money you're going to burn. Because remember, stocks can go to zero, right? Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right, so I was right. Continue to be right.
Okay.
What's next?
All right, well, you've been very busy, and this has to do with this next prediction, I think, is what we're going to do.
Okay.
So normally we discuss opinions and predictions that you have stated publicly. Oh, but no, I'm going to change it up. We're going to zigzag a little to this next question and give listeners a behind-the-scenes look at how you are just like most people and that you deal with plenty of worry and anxiety about future events.
I would call it anxiousness, but anxiety is fine.
Isn't that the same thing?
Anxiety sounds a little more severe. I don't really have anxiety. I just get a little anxious.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So anxiousness.
Yes.
Which I'm not sure is a word, but anyway.
I made it up.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So our public now knows that you recently formed your own registered investment advisory firm, Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
And for the first time in your career, you don't have a mothership providing certain back office support services, among other things.
Right.
What our listeners may not know, but I happen to know because I'm around you all the time and have to listen to this stuff all the time, sometimes ad nauseum, is that this process took many months. And there were many times where you projected into the future how hard this transaction was going to be. You were still working on it today, I think.
Yes.
Toiling, as you say. So was your existing RA going to make a fuss? That's one of the questions you were stewing about. Were your clients going to understand and continue their journey with you?
Yes.
Yep, that's a big deal. Was our buddy Chuck Schwab going to laugh in your face and break up with you?
I was worried about that.
Yep. So how did all this play out? I know, and I just learned some more today because it's happening still. But do tell.
Do tell. Did my fears play out, or is it? How's it going?
Or you feel good.
All right. So first, it's going great. But let's give some context. So, yes, I do have worry. I'm a worrywart, and I do anxiousness, which, like Michelle said, I'm not sure. You're
sometimes a worrywart. I wouldn't say you're a worrywart. Like you're not afraid to step outside.
I am not. Yeah,
he's afraid to get on a plane.
That's fair. I have very specific worries, but naturally, I'm a naturally optimistic person, right? So, my dad would always say anticipation of the event is usually much worse than the actual event itself.
Correct.
And I think about that all the time. My dad has all these great sayings that I carry with me, and I will for the rest of my life. So to answer your question, yes, it's gone phenomenal. We are in the final part of getting our clients squared away with our new RIA. And then for those of y'all that have followed, been a longtime listener, we were always Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. Not to get to Nerdville here, but I did have a larger RIA that, like Michelle said, provided a lot of back office support. They were phenomenal. They did a great job. But I had grown to our practice, because it's more than just me now, had grown to a point where we could do a lot of those services in-house, and I felt we could do them as good or better. And obviously, when you cut out the middleman, it helps with your revenue, right? You get to keep more dollar in your pocket.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Michelle, every single one of my existing clients that we've been able to ask to come with us has done so. right? So,
Awesome. We rock.
and I'll put it this way: if anybody, Jerry Maguire, I mentioned this the other day, but when he left his firm, they went the opposite direction where they would call up his clients and take them, right? And that's in my line of work. Basically, the previous RA had what's called right of first refusal.
Yeah.
Right. They could give them a call
Sure.
and give them a choice. They didn't even exercise that. They were very gracious. They were wonderful. To be fair, I basically had built this practice down here on my own anyway, to be fair, and I think they would agree with that. But they were great. Schwab has been great. Schwab has been phenomenal because Schwab was also going through a transition where they had bought a competitor. So I was really worried about their customer service. It's been great. The attorney group that helped me form the RIA and put together all the documents have been great. My clients have been great. Even today, Michelle, as I was kind of finishing up with some of my clients, there's just a lot of the ones that really get it are very excited. They're cheering me on. They're cheering us on. So it's been phenomenal. And honestly, I look back now and I think about all the worry I had, and I feel a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I told you that sometimes some of those things that you're worried about, I was like, I think that you can take a step back and
you were right.
yeah.
And here we are. So
Keep, like you say, keep the thing the thing.
So I was wrong. Keep the thing the thing. I was wrong. All right. We got time for one more?
Yes.
Okay.
One more quickly. And we'll save it for a prediction. Now that the dust has settled on your significant professional changes you just mentioned, and I must add the very significant personal changes in your life, what comes next for Josh and for Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, besides winning the nappy?
Well, first, votenappies.com media section. We really crushed it all the way around. Wouldn't you agree, Michelle?
I do agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, we crushed it all the way around. I mean, we could spend a whole episode talking about how incredible this spring has been, both for me professionally and personally. Obviously, getting married to you.
Yes.
And
you're welcome.
We are just getting started, love.
All right.
The path ahead has never been clearer.
All right.
And I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for everyone that, again, both professionally and personally, and a lot of times the two sides would blend together. So much gratitude to all those that have helped us, and particularly me, get to this point. Forever in your gratitude. So, all right, well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed a peek behind the curtain on how I form my opinions and my predictions. And more importantly, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. Which isn't very often, but still. Now, to our listeners that have more questions about the various investments and topics we discussed, we invite you one last time. Give us a call anytime, 251-327-2124. And I answer the phone, as Michelle will tell you. Had a couple calls today. It was really fun.
Very good.
Had a couple calls this week. And also, again, you can also make an appointment or send us a message on our website, gulfcoastfa.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap this week for Coasting in Retirement. I want to give a huge thank you to my lovely co-host and now my lovely wife, Michelle Lee Melton.
You're very welcome, Josh.
Thank you to our awesome radio station, FM Talk 106.5. Many thanks to the provider of our show music. That's a local band, Sloth Racer. Many thanks to our show producer, that is Mr. Chazare Gray. And as always, my sincere appreciation for all of you out there that have been listening and joining us on this journey. We'd obviously love to be a part of your journey as well. So again, till we talk again next Sunday, have a wonderful and productive week. This has been Coasting in Retirement with Josh Knoll. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, LLC, known as GCFA, is a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Alabama and in such other jurisdictions where it is registered, filed the required notices, or is otherwise excluded or exempted from such registration and/or notice filing requirements. Registration does not indicate or imply that GCFA has attained a particular level of skill or ability, nor does it constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, or any other state securities regulator. The Coasting in Retirement radio program serves mainly to disseminate general information, including those pertaining to GCFA's advisory services, together with access to additional investment-related information, publications, materials, and links. The publication of this radio show should not be construed by any client and/or prospective client as GCFA's solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions in securities, nor should be interpreted as GCFA providing personalized investment advice or any type of professional advice for compensation wherever this program is broadcast. Any subsequent direct communication by GCFA with a prospective client will be conducted by a representative that is either registered or qualifies for an exemption or exclusion from registration in the state where the prospective client resides. Certain information, news stories, headlines, data, charts, graphs, figures, or statistics presented on this radio program may have been obtained from third-party sources that are believed to be generally reliable, but which GCFA may not have independently verified. GCFA does not and cannot guarantee the timeliness, accuracy, or reliability of any such third-party information and undertakes no obligation to update or correct any information that may become obsolete, unreliable, or inaccurate. This radio program also contains the opinions, views, and perspectives expressed by Josh Knoll and any other GCFA representative, which are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions, views, or perspectives of GCFA as a firm. Such personal views and opinions should not be construed as endorsements or professional advice from GCFA. GCFA makes no representation or warranty regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any information on this radio program and disclaims any liability for any direct or indirect loss or damage incurred from using or relying on such information. GCFA and Providence Partners are not affiliated, nor are any of their respective representatives.